the whole cowgirl state of mind is just being gritty, going for what you want, and just being confident in who you are. You don't have to have the best clothes. You don't have to look like this Instagram influencer. It's just really embracing who you are as a person, lifting others up, and just trying to be a better person every day.
Hey y'all, and welcome. You're listening to the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. I'm your host, Dakota Dawn Johnson, small town cowgirl with Southern roots, blazing a trail as a Midwest ranch wife, mama, and businesswoman. The mission of Cowgirl Confessions is to share the wonderfully wild and Western life stories of cowgirls from all walks of life. We'll talk about the highs, the lows, and everything in between when it comes to navigating careers, cowboys, kids, and cattle. Legendary cowgirl Dale Evans said it best. Cowgirl is a pioneer spirit, a special brand of American courage. The cowgirl faces life head on, lives by her own lights, and makes no excuses. Cowgirls take stands. They speak up. They defend the things they hold dear. A cowgirl might be a rancher, a barrel racer, a bull rider, or an actress. But she's just as likely to be a checker at the local Winn-Dixie, a full-time mother, a banker, an attorney, or an astronaut. If you're into wet saddle blankets, talks with God, buckets full of laughter, and the life lessons learned in the process, kick off your boots and settle in. I pray these stories encourage, empower, and give you just the leg up you need. Here's to embracing the cowgirl state of mind, no matter how wild and Western life may get along the way. Hi, friends. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. I am just thrilled to get to visit with, really a longtime friend of mine, another Southern gal. We both come from Sweet Home, Alabama, and I've got Brianna Bigbee here with us today. And, while I feel like most of you probably know Brianna as the Bleacher Babe in our Western industry, so much more to her than just the Bleacher Babe. And I hope you, get to hear that from her today as she shares more about her and her story. So Brianna, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I am super nervous, but I'm excited. I think this is like my first podcast ever. So I'm happy that it's yours.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm glad to have you on here. And like I promised you, this is more of a cup of coffee conversation via Zoom instead of anything else. So I know everybody's going to enjoy, getting to learn a little bit more about you. And so I guess I really got to meet you for the first time at the PCA finals. Gosh, that was in either 2006 or 2007. We were both doing rodeo queen stuff at the time. So we've, that's been a minute since we were there.
Yes, I am the rodeo queen reject, by the way. I always look to Dakota for inspiration because I was definitely not rodeo queen material, but it was a really fun time. I learned a lot from it.
Oh, girl, you were beautiful. You were. And, there is so much more than just being a rodeo queen. And so that's why it's great. You can learn a lot from it. But it was just really fun getting to know you through that stage of our life. And then, really and truly just watching another woman that grew up in Alabama go on to do big things, and really make a name for yourself by just being yourself is what I've just really enjoyed. Watching over the years is you've gotten to share a little bit of Sweet Home Alabama with the world is what it feels like, from where I'm sitting, and share with us a little bit more about kind of how you grew up and what your involvement with horses, was back then.
So I grew up in North Alabama. It's kind of like rodeo town here in Muscle Shoals. Everybody ropes. My dad was a team roper. My husband, I grew up with him, Cole Bigbee, he team ropes, his family roped. So we grew up together. Every weekend we spent on the road traveling to team roping. I barrel raced a little bit. I dabbled in goat tying and team roping, but my parents were divorced. So for me, it was a lot of moving back and forth and just not having a means of being able to go as much as I wanted to, but my love has always been there for horses and just the Western life in general. And that's something that my dad like really instilled in me, and I've just carried it over into my adulthood and now passing it down to my son. So um to be able to highlight Alabama in that sense was just something really special to me, because it's something I've grown up doing that just made me who I am today. And it's just been a big part of who I am.
Absolutely. And so, okay, you mentioned, you're married to Cole. So how, you and Cole grew up together, but then how did y'all, like start dating and that whole piece of your story? Because that wasn't for until a lot later in life, right?
Yeah. So when we were little, like I was so mean to him. I was a tomboy through and through. I was like the one all the boys ran from because I was mean as a snake. And Cole, bless his heart, he was so sweet, and I intimidated the crap out of him. But I've known him my whole life, so it's funny because like the night we got married, our dads both made a speech and looked at each other like we never thought this would happen. So Cole moved off to Texas in college. We seen each other, in passing at ropings and stuff. Always, have been big friends. And then he moved back home from Texas, and we just picked up our friendship, and never thought I would have dated him. So I was actually married before. When I was going through my divorce, my husband now asked me if I wanted to go to church with him. And I was just like, well, yeah, I need church. I definitely need to get my butt back into church. So we went to church and just had a good friendship. Like, never saw myself ever dating him because, I mean, what's so funny, I've actually set him up with a bunch of my girlfriends when he came back from Texas. So, but he was just super sweet. I just had that friendship with him. And then, gosh, on into late summer, he was just like, I want to be the first guy to take you out on a date. And I was just like, okay, I just don't see that working. But I was like, I love a free meal. So we went out to dinner and it just worked. We've been best friends, forever. And it was just one of those things that just came natural and it was easy. And I've never had somebody that just allowed me to be myself and be me and lifted me up the way I needed to be lifted up. I went through some really dark times when I was younger. I've actually turned to alcohol heavily to kind of suppress a lot of my feelings. And he was just somebody that really brought the light out of me and made me believe in myself again. So I don't know, like, you hear people say all the time, like, you found your soulmate. Like, I truly found my soulmate with Cole. Like, he just makes me be the best version of myself, not anybody else but me. And I've never received that from somebody. So yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And it takes a really strong and very secure man, I feel like, to let a woman really be herself. I think all the time, about my husband and how, and we didn't get married until a little bit later in life too. And I've told him before, I'm like, it's a good thing, that we didn't meet each other a minute before we did, or until I had matured some, because I don't know that either of us, kind of like you said before, he just took you as you were, and brought you up through some of those dark times. And that's just so incredibly special to be able to share that bond with somebody. And then, you get to do life with them. I mean, that's the neat thing about marriage. I mean, it is hard as heck some days. Don't get me wrong. I mean, marriage is not easy, but yeah, I know. Woo, right? I mean, it can be a doozy, but when you really think about, okay, like, who do I want to do life with? I mean, that's the meat and potatoes right there.
Exactly.
Oh man. So, okay, you and Cole got married, and then, through that, what has it looked like, with you both having your businesses and just trying to grow and figure out those steps along the way?
We have busted our butts together because we want to enjoy life early as soon as possible. So for us, from the jump, we have flipped houses. We've probably flipped 4 or 5. We've moved a lot, but we were able to make money and keep putting it down towards the house, and to the point to where it paid for itself. So that was one of our little things that we did to kind of help us get ahead early in life. And then um, Cole's family had Run and P ropes, which we worked and then sold in 2016. So we've always worked together, and just finding little side hustles. And from me working the Bleacher Babe to Cole working at Bigbee Steel, and now he does commercial real estate and some development, venturing off on his own. It's just a constant hustle, but I know it will be worth it in the end. Hopefully in our 40s we can sit back and enjoy life, but we really wanted to set ourselves up and our son up as soon as possible, so we could not just bust our butts from here on till we go to our grave. So
Yeah.
it's just been a lot of hard work and little play, but I enjoy it. We both have that mindset of we like to work. So honestly, we enjoy it.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Yes. And as soon as I think we are ahead, Cole's come up with something new. Like he produces 2 really large ropens each year. And September and May, it's like 2 months building up into those months is like our busiest months. But yeah, he's always throwing something at me like, I found a new idea for us to make money. And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah. Okay, babe. Here we go. Now those ropens, Brianna, can you share with us a little bit more about them? Because they're a big deal. Real
Yes.
big deal.
So Cole's grandfather, Perry Bigbee, started the Biggest East roping in the 80s, maybe earlier. It was the largest roping of the Southeast. And so that was just some tradition I remember growing up, like going to every year that everybody went to the Biggest East. So Beverly Robbins took it over, I want to say in the 90s when Perry, um, or maybe it was 2000s when Perry just kind of was getting out of it. So she carried the torch, did a great job. And then I think she was kind of ready to be more out west. And Cole approached her because he was just like, this is just something I've always, wanted to carry out my grandfather's legacy. So he approached Beverly and they chatted, and she was just like, absolutely. And he took it over about 2 years ago because my son was born. And it has just been something so near and dear to our hearts because it's like a big cowboy reunion. Everybody shows up that we've all grown up with, and even people travel from all over to come to it. And it's just a big tradition. We come together and have good food. We have good entertainment, and just everybody's roping and have a good time. And all the kids are running around like we used to. So it brings back so many good memories of us growing up, going to that roping. And then Cole started the Perry Bigbee Memorial Roping we have on Memorial Day. And I think he started that in 2011. And that's something that's grown pretty big. So I'm super proud of him. He puts his heart and soul into those ropings.
I remember seeing, your post on Facebook and Instagram just about like how, so many people showed up, and it might have been the one this year, like how they were roping straight on, like up until the next day. I mean,
girl, they haven't seen anything like that since the 80s. Yes, we rolled over from it was Saturday night on until Sunday. Like nobody slept. The roping just rolled into the next one. We had so many people turn up to the roping, and it was just, we weren't prepared for it, and we hope that never happens again because everybody was super tired. But honestly, it was just, people were taken back like, man, like that we haven't seen a roping like this in decades. So it was fun. It was something everybody will most certainly remember and talk about for years to come. So, but yeah, that was rough.
yeah, it's one of those. It's like, whoo, it was good, and now that it's over, you can be like, man, that was awful neat and everything. But so Brianna, speaking of things that are going to be memorable for a very, very long time, you started this what you probably didn't realize at the time was something that was going to really take off, and it was the Bleacher Babe. So can you share with us really how that all came to be, what inspired you to start the Bleacher Babe, and then how that has evolved to now and where you're at in life?
Yeah, so I was still on the journey of like finding myself. I was super insecure. I remember going to a market in Denver, and I was actually working it as a run and pee rep. And I was invited to go to the Wrangler party, and I had never experienced that type of atmosphere before. So when I went, I mean, I didn't have money. I didn't have nice clothes. So when I went to it, I just really felt out of place and had some people make me feel out of place with my clothes. And I just remember like leaving crying and was just like, I never want to go somewhere like that again. Um, Fast forward, when me and my husband started dating, he had made the American. And I just remember like all of those memories flashing back. Like I was so nervous. And I was just like, I've got to find a place for people like me, um, where we can just form a little community and just lift each other up and find ways to dress up without breaking the bank. Because like when I went to that party, people had like $1,000 outfits on. I'm just like, I couldn't afford that. So I started the Bleacher Babe to kind of share places and highlight boutiques where we could find like affordable clothes and just have a community for all the rodeo girlfriends and wives, because I feel like, you know, we spend so much of our time supporting them, going with them, which I love. I've always loved that. I was my dad's road dog, and then when my husband came along, it was just picked it right back up. I've always enjoyed sitting in the stands, being the cheerleader. But I wanted to form a community. It was a way for me to get to know a lot of the girlfriends and the wives. But so when he made the American, I was like, I'm going to sell a lot of my clothes and, you know, buy something cute in Texas. So it went from the Bleacher Babe blog, which was nothing at the time. I'm sure a lot of people made fun of it, but it was just an outlet for me. And then I started the Bleacher Babes Closet, which took off like crazy. So many rodeo wives and girlfriends were sharing like old gringo boots and like all these super nice clothes you could get at an affordable price. So that's kind of how it took off, and it just became its own little thing in the group that it became its own monster. And eventually I just had to walk away from it because it became too much. I would literally get harassed by people through email. They'd even call my work about somebody scamming them. And it's just like, no matter how strict I was with it, like you just can't run a group right without offending somebody. So I kind of walked away from the Bleacher Babes Closet and just kept the Bleacher Babe to enjoy as an outlet still, because I'm the type of personality, like I just need an outlet. I'm creative. I like socializing with people. So I kind of kept it there and to keep everybody up with what was going on. And I like to share that platform in times of stress when people are going through like Texas right now, resources. Anytime somebody needs like a GoFundMe shared, like I like to keep it there, but I kind of walked away from it because it became too much, and it kind of became something who I wasn't. And anytime I feel like I'm getting pulled away from what my values are and who I want to be, I pull back. So I just kind of stepped back, and that's when I found out I was pregnant, which it was like God's timing. Got pregnant at the NFR in Vegas 2017, and by that time I was just like, you know, something's just got to change because I don't like the direction it's going. It got real catty. And so when I had my son, it was just like I had this whole new outlook on life, like what am I going to do next? And I just kind of created my own little new space with my personal page, and it's just kind of went from there. But I've learned a lot from the Bleacher Babe about social media, and just I've met some amazing people. It's opened so many doors for me. So I will never take away from that experience. I'm just at a different place, and I like sharing our Western side. Like when we go to the arena with my family, more so during the summer, but it's still like my little fun outlet where I can connect with all my Western friends. But for me right now, I'm just in a different place as far as the Western fashion world, because I literally look like I crawled out from underneath the rock. I live in sweatpants. I smell like a trash can. I don't do my hair and makeup. So I'm not like the Western influencer people probably. I think I catfished everybody.
Oh, girl. No, I think we all, what you see on social is just a glimpse, as we all know, but sometimes forget. And so, I just appreciate you sharing that, just how it came about and what your goal was, and then how, you've been able to transition. Like, even though I'm sure, I mean, you poured a lot of time and effort and, emotions into building it. And I'm sure walking away wasn't easy, even though, God literally presented you this transition point, when you found out you were pregnant. But, I'd again, just so cool how many people you met and got to connect with. And, before we kind of move to kind of where you're at now, can you share with us what it was like getting to do some of the, like, the fashion shows or the pop-up parties that kind of transpired when you were the Bleacher Babe? Because that seemed, I didn't get to attend any of those, but from an outsider looking in, it seemed really cool. But I know there had to be a lot of behind the scenes stuff that went on there.
It was so much work, but I loved it. The main thing that I loved about it was being able to include so many people. I feel like for a long time, the whole rodeo circle felt very exclusive. Like, everybody, in the pro world had their thing, and so many people wanted to be a part of that. So when I was able to do the fashion show, I had people from all walks of life in the Western world, and everybody felt included. And I think with the Bleacher Babe, it kind of made everybody feel a part of this big world that is so amazing. Something we all grew up loving. So yeah, the fashion show, we had Fallon Taylor, we had Amberly Snyder, and then we had, ranchers and all these girls from all walks of life that all grew up doing basically the same thing, and they were able to connect and make friendships. And that was just, I think, my most favorite thing I took away from all that is just the connections not only I made with people, but people made through it. So that was really fun for me. And then working with Cowboys and Indians magazine, that was a dream come true. I never thought I am nobody. So for me to just be able to be a part of Cowboys and Indians magazine, we threw a party together in Vegas, and they put an article of me in their magazine. Like, that blew my mind. I was just like, it just let me know you can do anything you set out to do. Anybody, like, nobody is less capable as the next person. I didn't go to college. I am a kite in the wind. I'm still finding myself every single day, but that's why I love my husband. He loves it about me. I'm always changing with the times. And but just being able to go and set my mind out to do something and doing it, he's like, I used to be surprised, but now it just, if you say you're going to do something, I'm like, it's done.
Yeah.
It used to be these crazy wild ideas to him, and he's just like, when you breathe life into somebody and believe in them, I think that is like the recipe to help make people successful. You just need one person to believe in you and have your back. Like, go for it. You can do anything. And that is just what I think made me finally blossom, is just having him right there, in the box next to me. I always say, like, partners for life. Like, when we got married, the guy that married us talked about like team roping in retrospect with marriage, and he's my partner for life, and he's always got my back. And so to me, that just gave me the confidence to go out and shine the way I've always felt like I could, but I just didn't believe in myself enough.
I love that, and love how you said, you're, when you're back in the box, and your partner for life. So good. And then, not being afraid to try new things and go after new stuff. And so you've taken on, like you said, you really hit that transition point when you have Payson. And then share with us, Brie, like what life looks like now, and kind of how you've gotten to where you're at over the past, what is 3.5, 4 years?
Yeah. I got pregnant in 2017 at the NFR. So I've always been big into fitness. I never understood nutrition. I was a smoker for, 18, 20 years. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I did. I had a lot of bad habits. I ate bad. And I always looked at health as something physically, like what I looked like on the outside. I never took any look at to what I was putting inside my body. So when I got pregnant, I was like, oh, I'm healthy, which I had quit smoking months before I got pregnant, but I was still eating bad and I didn't have good sleeping habits. And but I worked out. That's not enough. So when I got pregnant, I got really sick. And we didn't know what all was going on, but I was just swelling really bad. I was 32 years old. So when I had him is when it all just kind of fell apart. I had a thing called third spacing, but fluid had built up so much. It was in my heart and lungs. I was almost in cardiac arrest. I felt like I'd been hit by a freight train. And so that really took me to a place. I had postpartum anxiety. I was not only scared of my son getting sick, but I was like, what's going to happen if I leave this world and he doesn't have his mama? So it was like this whole new anxiety came on. And I was like, I've got to get healthy. So I started my own little personal account because, with the internet, I didn't want to share that much about my son to the whole public. I kind of wanted to keep it private. And I also wanted to share my health journey and be very open and honest and genuine. I have drank really heavy in the past. I have been a smoker. I have treated my body like a trash can, but it's not too late to get healthy. And it's not about weight. It's not about what you look like on the outside. It's how you feel on the inside. I have dealt with depression, anxiety. It's something that runs in my family. And another thing that runs in my family is diabetes. So we found out I am borderline pre-diabetic, which if I wasn't eating the way I was now, I could very well be diabetic. And that would hurt me when it came to having another baby. So it's just kind of took on this whole new goal for me to not only get myself truly healthy, but my whole family. I want Payson to have a good foundation on what eating healthy looks like, and not just loading him up full of junk food, which, we live and we learn. Like, have I given my kid junk food? Yeah, he's eating M&Ms right now, but it's balance. I want him to have a good foundation. And that's kind of where my passion is at right now. And something that's just, I don't know, I'm just really running towards.
Well, I mean, you look phenomenal, and more than anything, just like you said, it's not just about what's on the outside, but just to hear you talk and share your stories, you feel good, and that's the biggest thing, because you're chasing a toddler and still trying to do all the things. You are building another business with your health and nutrition, and you've also started going back to school. Is that right?
Yes, I'm getting certified as a holistic nutritionist. As you know, my mother passed in October. She was 55 years old and had a massive heart attack. Her brother, 24 hours prior, had a massive heart attack. And it's just something that runs crazy in my family. So it just was a red light, like, Brie, it's time, like, to really start taking this serious and helping as many people as you can, because like I said, I thought I knew health. I just knew fitness. I just knew how to look healthy on the outside, but it catches up with you when you're not taking care of yourself on the inside. So that's kind of what really put it in overdrive when that happened.
It's moments like that whenever I saw that you made the post that you had lost your mom and it was unexpected, and just heard there were so many similarities. And my mom passed away at 55 as well, unexpectedly. She had a pulmonary embolism, and it just, I don't care how old you are or where you're at, there's moments like that in your life when they happen. They're defining moments, not necessarily like they're going to define you, but they define where you go after they happen, and the choices you make, and some of the things that you decide, like, okay, what am I going to do from here? And so my heart went out to you then. It still does, because it's something you work through every day. And I'm so proud of you for how you're sharing this. You're on a mission. You're not just doing it for you and your family, which would be more than enough, but you're wanting to learn more so that you can educate other people and help them better their lives.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just been a big eye opener. And I didn't have a relationship with my mom, so it was a very heavy time. It still is, but I feel like I've grown so much, and it's taught me so much just about life, and how we just should not take it for granted, not a single moment. And we just have to do better. We have to, and we can't do better if we don't know better. So to me, it's really important to put stuff like that out there and just be as transparent as I can without hurting feelings or putting information out there about people that it's personal. But I want to be open and kind of let people in on my journey, because I've learned a lot.
Yes. And I so appreciate you sharing all that with us. And one of my favorite things that you'll share in your stories from time to time and stuff is just some of like your family recipes that you'll cook. And I'm gonna be honest, like whenever you grow up in the South and like it's like put some butter and some more butter, and if that ain't enough, you just add some bacon and cheese to it, and that's gonna make your meal right there, sister. Like when you've grown up kind of with that style of cooking, it's a little bit intimidating to like be like, so how do you say quinoa? You know what I mean? Like, how do you go pick some of these other like really healthy options that still taste good, but when you're going to shop, it is a transition I've had as well, just as trying to make some healthier options for my family. So I've enjoyed when you share, because I feel like, you come from the same background, like, what it's like to pile on another thing of mashed potatoes and the gravy and the whole bit, and so
it's so good.
It is so good. But you make these meals and I'm like, I'd eat that. My husband would eat that. I think my kid would eat that. And so do you have kind of a couple of go-to meals that are your favorites, Bree, that everybody in the house loves that you could share with us?
Yes. So it's all a learning. It's like trial and error with all these recipes. But what I have learned is what's bad and what's good for you. And I've tried to incorporate like switching out those bad recipes for healthier versions. One of my husband's favorite recipes is my taco spaghetti squash bake. So you just like bake your spaghetti squash, and then once it's done, you rake it out, put it in the bottom of a casserole dish. You cook your ground beef with black beans, rotel. I like to make my own taco seasoning with like cumin and garlic and all that stuff, chop up onions. So you mix that up together in a skillet and layer it on top. And then you add the cheese, which is kind of balanced. Like I always say, especially transitioning into like healthier eating, you can't just take it all the good stuff away at once, because that just makes it hard. So I would like balance it out with throwing a little cheese in there for my husband, and I would bake it at 350 for like 30 minutes. That is his favorite meal. He requests all the time. You can put salsa on it, you can put guacamole, whatever you want on top, and it's super easy. And yeah, like if my husband will eat it, it's definitely a go-to because he's so picky. Yeah. But yeah, just simple things like that we would normally use like spaghetti noodles with, or you can use like brown rice noodles, things like that, just switching it out for healthier options. And it's like we still eat the same, but my husband has said like I've never felt better eating clean.
Right. Well, I'm so enjoying all the content you're posting, and you're just doing a great job, girl. Keep it up. I hear Payson, and I've got my little one, downstairs. I can hear him too. So we'll wrap this up. I got one more question for you though. There's so many women that are listening to this podcast that, whether they work in an office and don't have the opportunity to be around horses, or maybe they grew up in it just like you and I have, or still competing. No matter what walk of life they're in, I want this podcast for them to just really be inspired by the idea of embracing the cowgirl state of mind. And so what does the phrase, the cowgirl state of mind, what does that mean to you?
First thing that pops to my mind is grit. Cowgirls aren't afraid of anything. And if anything, me with the Bleacher Babe, I have formed my own confidence in going out and getting what I want and not being afraid. So to me, that's the whole cowgirl state of mind, is just being gritty, going for what you want, and just being confident in who you are. You don't have to have the best clothes. You don't have to look like this Instagram influencer. It's just really embracing who you are as a person, lifting others up, and just trying to be a better person every day.
Girl, thank you so much. You're doing that. You are absolutely doing that and living that out right now. And just so proud of you. So thankful you came on the podcast. And can you share with everybody where they can go to connect with you? Whether it's for the Western lifestyle or they're wanting to learn more about nutrition and health.
Yeah, so I have my Bleacher Babe account. It's at the Bleacher Babe on Instagram. And then I have my personal account, which is Brianna Bigbee. And I share a lot of my recipes, and just, it's more healthy living, mom life, kind of boring, but if you're into that kind of stuff, you can hit me up.
Awesome. Well, girl, thanks again for being on the podcast. I've sure enjoyed our time today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you for spending your time with me on the Cowgirl Confessions podcast. I'm so glad y'all stopped by. If you could take a moment to share this episode and tag us on social media, I'd be happier than a cowgirl in a sea of buy one, get one vintage turquoise. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss an episode. New episodes will be released bi-monthly. Please leave us a review if you feel so led by going to iTunes. Your feedback will really help us breed the idea of grabbing life by the horns with a cowgirl state of mind into women across the globe. Some that may have never even had the privilege to throw their leg over a horse, but could most certainly use the cowgirl state of mind while navigating life. Thanks again, y'all. Until next time, keep pursuing your dreams with that all go and no woe mentality. Remember, you're writing a story that's worth saddling up for, sister.